Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today our guest is Angie McDaniel. Thanks for being on the show, Angie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleased to have you as a guest. You and I talked a while back, and I was just impressed with your story and excited to share it with the listeners. But Angie has been an owner-landlord since 1998 and was trained professionally by a leading property management company in Southern California. After years of moving around with her husband's military career, she eventually landed in Northern Virginia, starting a property management company that she built to six figures in only a few short years. Now, in her sixth year of business, Angie is an associate broker with Keller Williams Realty in Old Town, Alexandria, and employs other military spouses on her property management team. So I just really liked how you found this niche of ladies who need jobs, right? And they're qualified, but and you provide a service really, or by helping them have a job and good employees for yourself. But Angie, looking forward to hearing more about your story. Tell the listeners who you are and let's get into how you started this business.
Sure. Yeah. So like you said, I've been a military spouse for 27 years and we have 5 children. And for most of those years, I was at home with the kids and, I'm college educated like many military spouses are. And unfortunately, the unemployment rate among military spouses is about 25%. And I found that when I was ready to not be a full-time stay-at-home mom and enter the workforce, that was a really big challenge. I'm a very entrepreneurial minded and just going through the process of knowing what I bring to the table, for another company, but then sort of being denied, because they saw that I was a military spouse, or maybe I didn't have the same resume on paper because we would move around every 18 months, plus being at home with the kids. I mean, that was a really huge challenge. But I fell into this niche of property management. Really, it had been our lifestyle being long distance landlords. We've moved 18 times and we've owned homes and, had to rent them out and all of that. And just through that personal experience, and also just experience with other property management companies around the country, I thought, wow, this is a really big need. And I feel like as an owner and with my experience as a military family, moving around, that I had something I could bring to that industry to make it better. So that's what I started to do.
Wow. I just like how you found, like there's a problem, right? You found a problem and you found a way to help them, to really build your team, but provide an answer to this problem as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's an industry that's kind of known for really poor service. Typically when you hear property management, you go, people don't really have a great impression of those companies. And even, myself as an owner, I really didn't think it was worth paying, someone to just let my property deteriorate. And, moving to Northern Virginia, this is such a unique market because it's so transient with military and government personnel who get stationed overseas, that I had a real opportunity to provide a really valuable service to people who are leaving the area but coming back, and their properties are their personal homes. They're not investment properties. And so, it's personal. It's a personal thing. It's an emotional thing. People are attached to their homes, and so they have to be well cared for. And it takes a higher level, I think, of fiduciary responsibility that, you've got to stay on top of it. The challenge that I faced coming here is that no one knew me. And, starting something from scratch and to do it, following the law, I had to find a broker who would support me in that endeavor, and I didn't know anyone. So, I had a lot of work to do and I had a lot of people to meet. And that's what I spent a good portion of my time doing initially until I found the right opportunity.
So it's interesting. I want to get into how you started this business, a little bit. Being in a new area, not knowing anyone, like you're talking about, having to find a broker that would allow you to work with them and really hang your business under their license, right?
Right.
Right.
And
so Tell us about that process a little bit, because I could see where a lot of people then are going to say, well, it's just not meant to be, or I'm just, this is too difficult. I'm going to go try to invest in something else, or I'm going to go start a different business, or, so what really gave you the drive there to keep pushing, even though, you face these challenges?
Well, I did have some moments where I felt like giving up. I did a few other things the first year. I mean, I had transferred my license to Virginia, and then I had, I didn't know how long we would be here initially. So at first I didn't know if it made sense, to start something and then have to pick up and leave it again, like I did in California. I was kind of rocking and rolling in Southern California. I got my foot in the door and I was doing really well. And then we had to leave. And so, for a while, I worked for a government contractor for a little bit. Got my foot in the door there and found out very quickly that was not for me. But it took a lot of persistence. I think we tend to limit ourselves by what we think. We put self-imposed limitations, and therefore we give up too soon. And I came to a point where I just decided that, hey, I just have to go for it. This is really what I want to do. I know how I want to do the job, and I know I'll be good at this and really make a difference. And so I just took the plunge, but, I had to think outside the box. I had to figure out, I had to brainstorm, how am I going to meet people? Who can I talk to? And so I just started networking, lots of different organizations, some property management organizations. Initially I thought, well, I may have to go to work for another property management company here, which is what I did temporarily. And that, of course, I was faced with, okay, I wouldn't do business like this. When you're in it, you're working for another company, it's frustrating because you see that, okay, this is just the same old, and I don't really want to be part of this, but I've got, this is what I've got right now. So I'm just going to have to work it until, I get to where I want to be. And so finally, after about, almost a year of doing that, just meeting people and allowing people to get to know me. And that was one of the key pieces. People had to get to know me. They had to get to know, they had to know that they could trust me, that I was reliable, that I did what I said I was going to do. And just by building relationships with people, I was able to build that trust. And then through that trust, I had some people who introduced me to my broker here at Keller Williams, which is where I've been, now in my 6th year. So he got my vision and supported me, and that's, eventually where I landed, and I was able to start, my own thing.
Wow. So yeah, I like how you talked about building those relationships. You started networking, you jumped right in, and you built relationships, and that, I hear it so often, right? And success stories like yours, it's key. It's critical, right? If you're not building relationships, if you're not networking, I don't know where you expect to go.
Right. And you have to come from a place of contribution too. It can't just be networking to be, for selfish reasons. You have to genuinely want to get to know people, support people, and also serve. And that's, one of the biggest keys, I think, to being successful in business is, just having that heart where you want to serve other people instead of what you're going to get out of it just for yourself. That just doesn't work. That just doesn't last. That's not a good long-term game plan. You have to be the right kind of person, and in order to give the right kind of service, but it starts inside and it starts up here, and you have to stick with it.
I like that. Yeah, you genuinely have to want to help others. And, so I'm sure when you decided to jump into this business, people probably thought, she's crazy. All right, why is she doing that? Or did you hear that?
Well, I tend to shut people out. I did have a little bit of a challenge before I actually was able to launch my own thing with a company that I had sort of started working with, and we had arranged an initial business deal, and that just kind of fell apart. And sadly for them in the long run, because, I've been really successful, thankfully, and, they could have benefited from that. So that, so there were some bumps in the road. There were definitely some people who, I think, I don't know, maybe it may have been threatened or whatever, but my biggest cheerleader is my husband. And, he has always encouraged me to, just push ahead. And that's kind of the way we operate, as a couple and as parents, we're sort of hard chargers. And, we just make things happen. And, you just have to know what you want to do, and you have to methodically go about it, and then just, let all the negativity, fall by the wayside.
I can relate to the military mindset and just how that's probably affected, your business, and just, you being just in that military family for this long, and the training your husband's had. And I know that affected me a lot from being in the military, just having the mindset of just making it happen. Like you said, no, let's just push forward. Let's, there's no turning back. Let's make it happen.
Well, I think too, people are, and I've had to learn this over a lot of years, but difficult circumstances are what mold you into the person that you're going to be. And so, and this is, we tell our kids, we've got college age kids, young adults now, and when they get stressed out, we tell them, you need to lean into that. Lean into the challenges and welcome them. I mean, be excited about them, because those challenges are going to make you who you are. And, when you talk moving all over the country, for 27 years, raising 5 children, my husband being on deployment all the time. I mean, that's hard stuff. That's really hard. Not having support, almost all of that period of time. It is hard, and you want to get out of it. When you're in it, you want to get out of the difficult situations, but looking back, those challenges are what strengthen you. And so, I would just tell anybody who's listening that, if you're struggling in your business to move things forward, you just got to press into that and look at it as welcome the challenge, and tell yourself that, hey, I love challenges. I'm a conqueror of challenges, and just go get it done, just push through it.
I really like that, leaning into it. It's so good. You see a challenge, lean into it. I've had to learn that, it's a taught,
Yes.
It's a taught mindset. I think, it's like, cause initially it's out of your comfort zone, right? And you want to stay away from those challenges initially, but it's just a mindset change of knowing that there's growth potential there. Right.
It is. And you have to focus on what you want. You don't focus on the challenge, you focus on the solution. And that's really important, because what you focus on expands.
Hey there, Brandon Hall here, CEO of the Real Estate CPA. If you're a general partner in the syndication business, you probably get a lot of questions from current and potential investors about the tax consequences of investing in your deals. It's no secret that confidence sells and builds trust. Our most successful clients know how to talk to their investors about the tax consequences of their investment opportunities. Join us at one of our free virtual workshops to learn how to confidently answer common tax questions from your potential investors. This offer is only available to listeners of the Real Estate Syndication Show. Seats are limited. Sign up today by visiting www.therealestatecpa.com/syndication.
What you focus on expands. It's awesome. So, help the listener who is starting a business right now, and is in those shoes, and they're facing some of those challenges. Maybe you have some advice, since you've experienced success, you've done it quickly, and tell them, some keys to making it happen.
I think you have to have a plan. You have to, and don't get overwhelmed with the whole plan, but look at the thing that you have to do next. So be very methodical and focus on one step at a time. And don't go on to the next step until you've perfected the first step. And, at the same time that you're doing that, you do need to feed your mind. It's really important that you're listening to things that are positive, that you're not exposing yourself to a lot of negative influences. You need to read. I think reading is important, reading good books that help you develop your mindset. It's really challenging the world that we live in. We're constantly bombarded with negativity, with the 24/7 news cycle, social media. It just never stops, and you do have to put that stuff aside and push it away, and put good, positive, productive things into your mind.
Did you find that, like you mentioned, don't expose yourself to negative influences? And what I find is like there's people that are in your life, whether it's family or friends, that really care about you, but they don't understand just maybe the entrepreneur mindset and where you're headed and things like so they mean well, but they may be discouraging you in this venture. Have you experienced that?
Not too much, because I think I'm very confident and very strong. I'm a strong personality, and so I don't get too much for negativity from too many people close by, because they know I'll push back, And so I would just say, if you struggle, if other people struggle with that, or you've got people in your family that are just the little, gnats with negativity, you're just going to have to be confident. I mean, obviously that's a bit more of a challenge that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, but just be confident in what you're setting out to do. And that just makes, reading good books and listening to good podcasts, listening to motivational things that sort of compensate for some of the maybe negative relationships that are around you.
So what are some other ways that made you successful at starting your business? Maybe ways that you found that were good for networking or even just building your team.
Well, I utilize social media quite a bit as far as building my team. That has been key. You get to a point where you become so busy when you're by yourself that you have to let go of some responsibilities, and that means bringing people on. And if you're a control freak, that might be difficult to do. I just reached a point where I couldn't handle it anymore. It was, so stressful to do by myself that I had to reach out and start looking for some other like-minded people, or just hard charging people. And the first place I turned was to other military spouses. Because, there are, it's not all women, but predominantly women who have been home with kids, and they want to work, and they're very intelligent, and, they've sort of been brought up in that military system with that mindset, for a lot of years as well. And so that's the first place I turned. And so I utilized social media in the area that we're in. There's a vast network of military spouses, and immediately had some women send me their resumes, and they were phenomenal. And, I brought them on the team, and they've been rock stars ever since, so it's been great. And we're looking to continue to grow in that.
Wow.
So that's been key for me. It's been key to delegate some responsibilities so I can focus on, the main thing, the business growth, the business building, and also just to maintain quality service. That's a core value of ours, is providing quality, high level quality service. And I don't ever want to sacrifice that. So that means I've got to bring on other high quality people who understand that, in order to maintain and maintain that reputation. That's, critical for continued growth. So, that's been the next step for me. In my business growth is, okay, well, I've started this thing. Now I've got to keep going, because it's getting bigger and bigger, and I can't handle all of it. So
what are some things that you found hard to delegate that you finally did delegate?
For me, it's hard to slow down and stop and teach someone. And I do love to teach. Like, I love to speak, and I love to motivate people, and I love to teach classes, which I do here at Keller Williams. But that's the biggest thing. I go so fast. It's stopping and slowing down and taking the time to show someone how to do something the right way. But once I do it, it's the greatest thing ever. And I'm just really thankful that I have these other, military spouses to come alongside me.
How do you lay out the tasks to know that, okay, this is something that I should give to somebody else? Because I hear that often, like, well, I hear people say, well, I don't need a assistant yet, or I don't need a VA yet, where I find that, I wanted one as soon as I could get one, just so I can focus on the higher dollar tasks.
Right. I give them the things that I really don't like to do. But I mean, they're the things that I don't need to be working on either. They're the a lot of the day-to-day operational detailed tasks that I don't need to be doing. And so I was happy to take that off my plate, and put it on somebody else's. But it's just taking the step to do that, especially, my personality type, which is just go, go, go. I'll do everything, I'll do it all. And, that's, you got that, that type of personality has to grow too and let go. And so that's what I've had to focus on. And it's been great.
What's been the hardest part of either starting this business or operating it, the management company, and how did you overcome that?
The hardest part was just getting started. You have to move the dial. A lot of people talk about doing something, but they never do it. Or they talk about doing it when XYZ is perfect. It's never going to be perfect. You just have to step out of the boat, into the crashing waves, and just get going with it. Because if you stand still, you're never going to go anywhere. You have to take steps. And that's the hardest part, with not knowing how it was going to work out and not having any connections. So just forging those for me, that was the most difficult part.
And
Go ahead. I was going to say one of the challenges now is just being able to push pause and catch a breath, because it just hey, when you're in business does not stop. It just keeps on going, and you can't push pause.
I feel the same struggle. It's like I'm ready to work all these hours, but you got to make time for the family, right? And I'm learning, like I have to time block it just so I can be there mentally, like leave the phone in the office and so I'm just away from it completely,
Right.
So what's a way that you've recently improved your business that we could all apply to ours?
Oh, goodness. That's a great question. I'm working on that. I'm working on my systems, and I'm working on my scheduling, and making sure we have very clear measurable goals. And also just, with what I do, we have a high volume of constant activity in a lot of different areas. And, because we're doing property management, we're doing sales. I have another aspect of the business, a service that we provide to other real estate agents. And so there are a lot of moving parts. So we meet regularly as a team, and, we're constantly going over our schedule and who's doing what, and making sure that we're all on the same page. And so that's where we're at now, especially this busy season that we're into right now. So that's been the focus.
And what's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Oh, persistence. Persistence and having the right mindset. I know I've been talking about that a lot, but it's absolutely critical. You have to work on how you think. You have to work on yourself, probably more than anything else, because you are going to make or break yourself. You are going to make or break your success. Nobody else is going to do it. It's you. So you've got to work on you. And that's what I would tell people to focus on. I think that's what's been the main factor for me.
Wow. Well, we're almost out of time, but any other tips on starting or operating a business that you'd like to give to the listeners?
Yeah, just find what you are passionate about. Find what you bring to the table. Don't try to copy anybody else. I think a lot of times we look at all these other people, and we feel like we've got to duplicate exactly what they do in order to be successful. Think about what's been put on your heart and what is attractive to you, what you're passionate about, and develop that. Don't try to imitate somebody else or feel like you're not successful because you're not doing what somebody else is doing. You do you. You were created for a purpose. You were created on purpose for a purpose, and work on that. Do that. Figure out what that is.
I like that. And how do you like to give back?
Well, we give back here in our office. We've got a Red Day coming up in Alexandria, and we work with a group called the Hope House. And it's a day where everyone stops working and we go out into the community and serve our neighborhood in Alexandria. That's one way. Something else that I'm passionate about are kids in inner city schools. And recently I spent a year investing in a classroom in Norfolk, Virginia, and mentored kids in that class. And it was an awesome experience. It changed me probably more than it changed them. And I think it's really important that whatever you do in life, that you take some time to give to your community, not look at the problems, but be a solution to the problems that are around you.
All about where you put your focus, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Angie. I appreciate you sharing that, and appreciate your time being on the show, and just the process of starting a business and how important mindset is. Tell the listener, how they can learn more about you and your business. I also wanted to thank you, or your husband and you, just for your service, military service. And
thank you.
Because it's not just him that's serving; it's a whole family service. I know, but tell the listener how they can get in touch with you.
They can reach out to me at Angie@commandproperties.com. They can go to my website, commandpropertymanagement.com, and you can call me or text me at 703-677-6902. I'd love to talk to you.
Great. Angie, thank you again. Appreciate the listeners being with us today. I hope you'll also go to LifeBridge Capital and connect with me, and go to our Facebook group, the Real Estate Syndication Show, so we can all learn and grow our businesses together with experts like Angie. And also, don't forget the group, and we would appreciate you sharing the show, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.